Oh. Oh. Good morning, YouTube. Look at that hair. To shave or not to shave? How you doing? Hmm? How you doing? Hmm? You remember Joey from Friends? How you doing, Gary? How you doing? All the kids are like, what's that? Oh, you remember Organic Apple? Ooh, Jennifer Aniston. Hmm? Yeah? Oh, yeah. Hmm? Oh, probably one of the top 3 most preserved gals ever on the planet. Especially out of Hollywood, I bet. Just a guess. See all them commercials she does with that special skin cream stuff? Oh, yeah. I'm still wondering what. I'm still wondering what Brad was thinking. The only thing I can think of is, like I said, I mean, if you take a look at her, although she did later on, she kind of got with Adam Sandler, the Sandman. Smoke your marijuana, drink your gin and tonica. Hey, Adam Sandler. Hey, you can't go wrong with Adam Sandler, no matter what. He's just a classic. All right. He gets a pass on that with me. Very few. Uh, let's see. And you're like, Yeah, the only thing I can think of is like Brad Pitt was into the drugs, I guess, and Aniston was just like, "No, we're not. I'm not doing that." And yeah, I mean, she's like, if you have to, you can look at that porn there, but I'm going to bed. I'm gonna see this face cream here, Brad. I'm gonna keep putting this on here in about 20 years. Your girlfriend's gonna cut her honks off presumptuously, and I'm gonna look like I'm in my 20s still. Yeah, and I'm gonna see you at the Academy Awards. I might sit by you, but you're never touching this again. See you, Brad. Remember that? Yeah. Uh, and so apparently, it helps to be funny. I'm not funny because, well, I don't know. You have to talk to the Sand. The Sandman looks. I mean, I don't know. They're just uh, organic apple. She just looks pretty good, don't she? Uh, she's like one of them gals. I mean, you just don't know. Some of those women. There's a lot of them, and you're like, dang. I wish my wife would look like, that when she's in her 70s or 80s, and you're like, whoa. Talk about red shirt, huh? Ooh, organic apple. Didn't she get with they did a movie or something? She got with the Sandman for a while or something. The Sandman. Yeah. Yeah. See, well, Brad Pitt is just not Tom Brady. You know what I mean? So, I guess. No offense to Hollywood. Like I said, I mean, I used to go to movies like 2 and 3 times a week. They used to be normal, and I don't know if it was about 10 years ago, 15 now maybe. They just started getting bizarre. They became more, I don't know, sci-fi ish, cartoonish, just not real. And even I don't know, they changed for me. So what's gonna matter in 10,000 years, Nick? Um, well, we want to be extra careful. I want to be extra PC because I'm very grateful for YouTube. Uh, be able to make these videos and be try to be authentic while being respectful and maintaining integrity to my beliefs. I've, I've done pretty well, I think. But now, even going forward, now that I got most of that out of the way, I just wanna. I don't want to say anything of like that offends people, especially now. Like I feel kind of. I won't get into specifics, but I feel humble. Like I feel thankful and grateful. Um, and when something good happens, and I don't know. Maybe some people use that as uh, you know, a little extra rope or something, and then they end up hanging themselves with it or something. They say, like give them enough rope to hang themselves, right? And I'm like, no, I'm like, it's like that guy. Remember, Carl? Parents don't last forever. So you start to think. We get look at Grandpa Nick. I'm not a grandpa, am I? I'm old enough to be one. Can you believe that? And so you're like, well, make decisions. Be careful. You know. Yeah, be wise. There's a lot of people in the world. It's nothing really special or unique, uh, really to anyone actually, but um, well, especially with this virus, it sure didn't discriminate, did it? It took out some. It took out some people. You know, it didn't matter how much of this you had. It didn't matter how healthy you were. It didn't matter what color your skin was. It started making you think a little bit, right? You're like, this actually was the first time, because we've had some of these before, and I don't know if it was the response or what, but I this was the first time ever I actually felt where I actually paid attention. Most of the time you get the swine flu or the H1N1 or whatever it was, and you're like, well, it's kind of like when you're young, you just don't think about it. You're like, there's no way that can happen to me, and usually it doesn't. I mean, you get better odds of getting run over by a truck. But this was the first time I didn't actually feel invincible. At kind of that young, I kind of realized, this thing's killing. I mean, it, you know, so coffee. So I think I really feel like I need to get focused. I mean, I've been doing a lot of talking, and it all takes energy. We have a finite amount of that, and like I said, I had something pretty good happen, or and so I just want to be thankful, and I don't want to get an attitude of I want to be appreciative, and use my time wisely. Where I was getting a little, I think that might have been, I was trying to kind of have a little struggle, remember, with the cell there, mm, and so I want to, maybe I was getting a little extra sarcastic, maybe developing a mild negative attitude, and so I feel like maybe some of that will work itself out, and so I want to be, instead of being like, oh, oh. No, it's like, well, thank you, God, and I didn't expect that, and you're like, that's cool. I really appreciate that. And usually things do work out, but boy, I mean, I was pretty struggling there, and hmm. I know it's tough to believe, but hmm, for some reason, I don't always make friends the fastest, you know. Well, not anymore. I used to. I like remember for 5 minutes, but not for like 50 years. And so it's not the easiest to, on the drop of a dime, you're like, hey, can you show me that excelled there. I haven't talked to anybody in 20 years, but hey, can you help me with, my aunt? She's about the only one in the family that would know how to even do that, and I don't even think she knows how. She doesn't use it. All she does is edit papers, and if she's ever listening, she called me a couple times, and I've been real busy. So next time she calls, I'll probably answer. I wasn't avoiding. I was. So they're like, you're gonna get more views, Nick, if you edit these videos. And I'm like, wasn't going for that. Remember, we want authenticity. hmm We want real. We don't want fake. We're no phony here. Huh? Forget about it. Hmm? Okay. Well, let's. I need a haircut. Sir, is there any female barbers out there that are doing house calls? Hmm? Just kidding. Not really. We don't really. There's a few barber shops left, but I'm pretty sure there's almost zero female barbers. Yeah, my stepmom. Yeah, I already know. Yeah, she was one of them back in the day. Like, she was the first. Like, she's the only one I've ever seen in my whole life with the real barber thing going around. The red, white, and blue thing swirling around. I never saw one woman in any of those ever. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, so, yeah, I honestly, like, I was getting pretty frustrated, but now, so I think it's just going to pretty much be, we're really going to get focused here. It's going to be our Bible readings, morning, afternoon, evening. Psst, maybe say hi. That's unless somebody for some reason says something in the chat, I suppose. And then study. You know, the trick is, it's like with anything, but because well, see, even this, I don't. Yeah, I won't bring that out. Doesn't. The point is, I had an accounting professor tell me. Remember the one sending a rocket to the moon, and and she's like, I used to struggle, and I'd want to remember. I want to be home with my husband having dinner, and you know, I was grateful to have a job, and so I would stay after like other people, and I'm thinking, I saw that movie with Ben Affleck. the accountant, the one where he does all that forensic and sends about 50,000 rockets to the moon. And then, that thing he does, and he goes in his bedroom and takes that pill and starts like stabbing a knife in his knee, and that one. And I'm thinking, that kind of looks like that. Almost, I mean, you're going in that direction. And I'm thinking, yeah, I just wanted to do a little bookkeeping and graduate from college. And she's like, oh, by the way, in about 10 years, yeah, you know that Intuit books and all that, they got about 50 of those types of things. And pretty much, unless you got some really complicated like depreciation or really large company that they're just too busy to do it. Yeah, pretty much all your small. I mean, and I'm like, oh, well, that's nice. And well, can I still graduate? I mean, and I'm like, and they're like, well, maybe if you be real quiet about that Bible there. I didn't do that, but God. And so she's like, you're going to have to learn to program. You have to adapt and understand the software and learn how to program software and all. You're going to have to uh, you have to know how to do all that. And I'm thinking, yeah, I tried C++ one time. It didn't go so well. And so, yeah. And she's like, well, there's always going to be like a few staff accountant positions. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, all right. Hmm. I'm like, well, I'm kind of into this now and I at least want to graduate. So. So, but yeah, I mean, I really do, man. I actually enjoy, like I've said it, like, they always said find something you love to do. Like, yeah, I mean, I wish now that I know what I know, I wish I would have went into accounting right away, became a management accountant, been more into you know, the the management side for a while and maybe worked at, but I don't know if I'd say love. I'd probably do it for room and board. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, it's just like bean counting, right? You like to watch paint dry? Oh, you one of them bean counters? I thought I got away from getting made fun of. I had to quit. After I heard that about 2 or 3 times, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to find a new job here. You're not going to be talking to me like that for the rest of my life. How's that paint smelling today, Nick? And I'm, oh, what's his name at Maggie's Cafe? What was his name? Yeah, the tennis guy, Canoodler. Canoodler's friend asked, after Canoodler's friend, I met him up behind, you know, the paint store there, and we were doing a little bit of that, his buddy's like, "Oh, how's the paint smelling today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna punch you in your nose this time, but if you ever say that to me again, and I'm going to find a new job." So, but now they call me a bean counter, and I'm thinking that ain't a whole lot better. And then I heard today, right? So I heard Donald Trump, I guess, at CPAC announced that he's going to be running again, and all the Democrats they're like having they're throwing house parties, and they're like, shh, 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 the ducks are coming. They're like, shh, don't say anything, and they're like, Don, do you promise? You swear you can we get this in writing? You're gonna run again, Big Don? Oh goodness! Don't change. Don't get him mad. Wait, huh, yeah, pretty much. Oh, so I had to listen to 4 years of my parents. That's all they did for four. Not my dad. Remember, my dad is Trump's brother, pretty much. Can you believe that? I'm like, he's like, oh, he's like, almost cried. I almost cried when I'm thinking, you almost cried. Hmm. I cried when HW died. Well, I made no, not well. No, I don't think I did. I came close though, but I did not cry. Hmm. Yeah. Um. So I had to listen to 4 years of pretty much every day. All not well because I don't. Contrary to popular belief, this is not my mother's basement. This is formerly known as the underground secret underground or compound basement command post. We had to open it up. Once they sent in the blackmail, yeah, we were like, hey, this ain't a secret no more. Once they started the blackmail, we were like, yeah, we're kind of slow to catch on to things, but yeah, that one we figured out pretty fast. And we're like, hey, it's time to share. It's time to share you with the world, Nick. It's time to share everybody how nice looking you are, and that nice set of hair you got, and just what a nice guy you are. Hmm. Because you just seen a guy kind of running his trap on the internet, and I suppose it makes it a little easier sometimes to get frustrated with people, and you wouldn't want to hurt a nice looking guy like me, would you? Huh? No. Come on. Hmm? So, yeah, I'm serious. Like, not to like, honestly, though, like, do they, like, seriously, like, they're helping me out. Like, if anybody ever questions my mental status, which, like I said, it seems to be convenient. The whole don't let a good crisis go to waste. And believe me, I know there are certain, and there's agendas on both sides, but there are people. I'm serious. Like, come on, guys. Like, if you really think, if well, think of it like this, right? Coffee. It's just, this is the problem. Like, and I want to be respectful because I need Big Don. I don't want to make any enemies, but we got to be honest here. Now, this is where the narcissism and the what do they call it? I guess borderline mental illness, the cult like. It has nothing. It's just practicality. It's just basic brains like a guy like me can see. It has nothing to do with not liking Big Don. Although Big Don would consider me a deplorable because he went to the Wharton School of Finance, and well, you've seen Junior Mints. I mean, that guy is like he's a pretty serious dude. Like he kind of makes. I mean, he's pretty serious, you know. But if they really think Big Don is a viable option, or his carbon copy son, Junior Mints and Guilfoyle, seriously, like that, it's kind of like who's like, are you that clouded? You can't be that dumb. If you think 4 years from now, I already told you, if you think he's going to make more friends in 4 years with a population that's growing exponentially and with a government system which is already it's by design. They've been pumping out these what I would call pretty extreme liberals, the ones who are like pushing, which, and I want to be politically correct. I do, because I'm mindful enough to realize, hey, but it's still give me liberty or give me dog food, okay? Because you know what? If I can't be myself, if I'm respectful and I can't maintain to my values, and you're going to demand that you're going to demand equality, demand tolerance, and you refuse to give me any and accuse me of being unfit for society, well, then we're bordering into where I don't even want to, I can't. I get that I can't do anything, and I don't really want to. Remember, I'm a Christian, so I'm pretty much I'm in the world, not of the world. I try. It's kind of impossible, but Christians know what I'm saying. In other words, I don't believe. Not only do I believe we're not at this point, we're not going to have some great revival. We're the last of the Mohicans. We're not going to legislate. Okay, maybe up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, most of the, you go to Dearborn, Michigan, it's all Islamists, and the cops won't even go in. They pretty much let them run their Sharia law because it ain't worth it. They've taken over that town, which is fine, whatever. If that helps stabilize the Middle East, okay, whatever. They can have a few cities. If the polar bears get to eat their bratwurst for a few more, another few decades, man, let them have San Diego. Let them have a couple of these big cities. Hey, whatever. As long as they don't blow us up. But it's like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, you still gotta, like, you have to respect that I did not grow up. I respect the idea that people. I don't agree with how low of an age people and how they don't allow parents to be allowed in the decision making, almost to the point where, like, I don't know, how low are these sex changes happening with children? And yet I'd be the weirdo because I was praying for an 18 to 30-year-old to spend the rest of my life and eternity with. And yet you're pushing these types of books on children, and you're putting this in their mind. And then if if they feel like they read this stuff and the parents are so busy, remember, because they got to work 2 and 3 jobs just to provide it all. Remember this system I'm talking about that Big Don is it is. And then if a parent says something, well, then it's like child abuse. Remember, what's up is down, left is right. It's like now it's child abuse if you get involved in your 6-year-old's gender identity. I mean, it's the government's job to come in and go, wait a minute, you're hurting this guy's feelings. He feels like a girl. And I'm thinking, what are parents for again? Oh, we don't need them, remember? Because if you go out to California, that weird place my dad lives, and he wonders why I don't want to go there. Oh, it might have something to do with the women out there now instead of, remember, and putting them big sucker things in their mouth like over in Africa. Nothing against that. It's just different culture. But instead of all the bubbles in their lips, they're having designer babies. Okay. The new thing is we don't need men. Well, we already knew that, but now they've really now you thought what's the old joke? Once there's no sex after marriage. You're like, you get it on your birthday and Christmas and a couple of the other holidays, and then other than that, you really got to go into negotiations to get. Yeah. Okay. So the point is, though, you wonder why. So if at least respect that I don't agree with it. I understand I can't do anything. I don't agree with the age. I don't even object to somebody having it. I mean, I don't think the government should be paying for it. Certainly not if you're in prison. No, I don't think felons should be voting. Some basic stuff like that, sure. But all I'm asking is don't ask me don't demand that I accept when I didn't grow up that way. I understand the population, and so I respect that I'm in the republic and majority rules, and just like gay marriage. I don't advocate against changing that law because I'm smart enough to know, well, number one, I don't really think it's our job as Christians. Well, but it wouldn't do any good. So why waste energy? Maybe if you want to go up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and that's about maybe the last place, I guess my dad says. Most of the city council are Christians still. Might be a couple places. It's okay in Dearborn, though. No big deal that the Muslims run the entire city. But there's one place left, Coeur d'Alene, people are trying to get rid of that. Point is, it's like if you think Big Don is a viable option, if you think if he couldn't win this last time, if you think in 4 years with the same people that are putting those books up, putting those books, and if you say anything, they'll do anything to destroy you. So your only bet is to just let the world be the world and go about, live a quiet life, work with your hands. That's your only option. If you think Big Don's an option, and if you really in your mind, the only thing I can think of is we're back to the guy that owns the stadium. They got to be in on it. And the sheeple are really that dumb that they really think there's going to be the votes. Yeah, no. I mean, that's nice, like I said. And that's just reality. That doesn't mean I don't like Big Don. That means I'm just simple logic. It's simple numbers. And the fact that you'd waste your time talking about it, I just don't. I mean, it's like, look, if y'all want to look, Don, it's just, if y'all want to get together and eat cake and have have a good time, have a little run for your money, run Eric. At least it makes halfway sense. Okay. If you think Big Don is going to make more friends in the next 4 years, if you thought Big Don made more friends in 4 years than made enemies, Yeah, with a population growing exponentially, with a system that's churning out kids left and right. Remember, Big Don said we're sent. Look, Big Don knows what's going on. That's why it's so. That's why it's so hard to believe some of the stuff that. I mean, they got to be in on it. Like they want the Democrats to be in there or something. So, yeah, you're gonna have to find somebody other than Big Don and Junior Mints, and even I really do like Eric. I wish I could have been more. I wish I would have had more of his temperament and not Junior Mints. I wish I was, honestly. I'm probably because I guess I'm like my dad. My mom says I'm just like my dad, and apparently she don't like him. So I'm like, well, that ain't good, Mom. I'm thinking. So yeah, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but let's be real here. Don't waste my time. I mean, I can't send rockets to the moon, but I can figure out Big Don is not going to be president, and you shouldn't probably not waste your time. And like I said, if you want to eat cake together and have a few parties, Eric's your guy. It's that simple. And I'm not going to repeat that. I've said that a few times now. It's just ridiculous to even talk about. So, uh, quite frankly, with the numbers they have, honestly, we're probably going to have to go into 20. We're going to have to turn into Venezuela if Jesus doesn't come out of that sky and we actually live, we go that long. Because too many people there's too many people convinced that too few people, there's enough of them now, they're going to want to try socialism. And, some people might call it altruism. Uh, I don't know. So they're going in that direction. And, which makes me think maybe I ought to go back and get a human resources degree. I almost thought about doing that because, but it was a lot more credits and a lot more money. But looking forward, I if I would have kind of thought about it a little more, I may have went more in that direction because I think we're gonna be, especially in a culture with a growing population, we're gonna be managing people more than this here is gonna be done. Accountings. I mean, everything's gonna be automated, right? Like the Jetsons. But there's always going to be a certain amount, isn't there? I don't know. I just heard on the radio last night, they're already talking about robots in war, which if they already don't even have it, right? Deciding who lives and dies. And it's like, you've always heard the military is like 50, the top secret military stuff. You'll hear this on coast to coast radio, all that stuff. I mean, it's not like George Bell. I mean, it's nothing new. It's bizarre, sci-fi. Some of it's pretty tough to believe, but they say the military and stuff, like cell phones and things, they had those 50 years. Those big telephones that the very first guys, all the drug dealers, they had they'd pay somebody to carry the big box around for them. 50 years the military had those before. Yeah, and the polar bears invented it all. And there's still a few of them, still a few of them old smokies around, okay? So be careful. And so it's not about disrespect. And this is where the mental illness part, for me, not me, but if you can't respect that I see that way, or even from the Democrats, if you can't respect that I don't agree with something, I understand you fought long and hard for your liberation and to have your religious freedom, and now you've got it's okay for you to have your group's freedom from religion, but don't still look. Don't if you don't want people to do what they're doing at the White House, and that's not okay. And it looks scripted to me, actually. Excuse me, sir. Would you please take? There's like 50,000 people outside, and there's like five inside on the floor. The security guards walking around going, "Excuse me, sir. Could you take your feet off the furniture, please?" And I'm thinking, come on. And so we as Christians understand. Well, at least I do that. The tide is pretty much turning, and so don't waste your time trying to get rid of those books, but respect that that's the way society and culture, and they fought a long time to get to there, and they're gonna create laws, and it's gonna get worse. So hopefully, if we're neutral and somewhat pacifist, like the J Dubs are, and but allow if you want peace, allow Christians to still read this here and say, hey, we don't agree with it. We're not going to fight you because there is supposed to be that separation, right? Isn't there separation of church and state or something? And so, but yet this is still our country too. I was born here. I was here before you, most of you, or a lot of you that think like that. And no matter what you do, the best you'll ever get from me is, hey, all right, you think that way, and I would not want my children reading those books. And I would like to raise my children. Hopefully, apparently it's still 18, right? I get to instill my values and my thoughts, and they're not seen as child abuse. That I wouldn't want them to read books like that until at least they've went through puberty and they've grown up and went through the emotions of growing up. And then I guess, I mean, hey, if you get over 18 and you still need to do something, hey, I mean, there ain't a whole lot I can do, right? But to intervene in my parenting or something because the government, and you see that, you wonder why they're doing that stuff. That's why, right? And so again, I think it boils down to demanding tolerance and refusing to offer any. And so, and I understand, like, it can be pretty extreme because some of these, like, now here's where I'm balanced. Never again. Got pretty valid points. These people on the boats, real pissed off, got the boom boom. It's like, remember Bobby Tushnot? Yeah, I mean, he grew up in a different time. And I guarantee, and not to be badmouth him, but he was kind of like that. He wasn't aware. Like, he had this attitude, like, don't you realize you're on the north side, dude? The white guy doesn't really. I mean, there might be a few Bob Walters left, but look around you. You can't be mouthy, and you can't buy drugs from people that, especially crack, right? And then think that this is 1940. And the guy's like, hey, you got our money? And Bobby's like, and no, and by the way, get the hell away from me. And remember, this is North Minneapolis that was started by the polar bears. And he's like, yeah, hang on, I'll be right back. And you know the rest, right? So the point is, yeah, you just have to gotta be mindful. And the world has changed, and it's complicated because by me saying some of those, like I said, a lot of Republicans will be like, what a nasty, disrespectful, deplorable, and I'm like, no, this is common sense. Like, seriously, if you really think Big Don's a viable option, you need to have your head checked out. If you're gonna waste your time talking about it, At least run if you really think. I don't think there'll be another Republican for 50 years. Certainly not a white one. Probably not a male. No, you don't have the numbers. I don't care how much depopulation guidestone you go. You don't have the numbers anymore. Not even for a minority color, person of color, moderate. You just don't. There's a reason they've had a machine. There's a reason those books are up there, and the best you can do is try to get along. It's just the truth. And maybe you don't like the truth, but it's the truth. And so I say, well, just like today, spend your time more wisely and be realistic. So be thankful that maybe you're gonna graduate. Maybe you didn't go to the Wharton School of Finance, but hey, it's like one of my friends says to me, and I consider him a friend. He says, "You don't have to know what you're gonna do right now, Nick." And I'm like, "Oh, easy for you to say. Well, you drive around that Mercedes Benz." And I'm like, I'm like getting old here, and like I got a couple years to convince a gal to put that dress on and get them sticks out. And I'm like running out, and easy for you to say, dude. And so, but it's true because a lot of people go to school and they find something they're gonna do, and somehow, even at the very last moment, when you feel like there's no way out and no somehow God, like I said, if you do the next right thing and you stay faithful, even in a world where those books are, I don't agree with those books, and I don't, Christian liberty is that people are going to hate me just forget mentioning those books. But keep in mind what I said about Big Don. I'm willing to say, hey, I know Big Don and them, they're going to hate my guts. They're going to be like, don't ever let that, we don't, that guy's never golfing at Trump International, ever. We don't ever want him here. But I'm saying, hey, I'd rather tell you the truth and then let you be like, and so, which, how could you not, like, they know that. So either they got to be in on it or it's some form of, I don't know, it's bizarre. Like I said, I mean, I listened to 4 years of people attack Trump's personality, not one thing about policy. And I kept going, I kept asking the same thing my dad did. I'm like, what did he do that was not pro-America? Didn't he not do his job? And they're like, we don't care. He's just a jerk. We don't, oh God, how could you vote? I'm thinking, again, we hired a commander-in-chief, not a pastor-in-chief. We kind of had one with the peanut farmer, that Jared Carter guy. Yeah, he was about the only one. The rest of them are hired to, okay? And yeah, most guys, not me, that locker room talk, that Bachman, remember her husband? He's the last one that can pray the gay out of you up there in Stillwater. Marcus, he does a case by case basis. He'll do an exorcism on you on your gay. He'll pray. He can pray the gay. But I think he charges a lot. And he's pretty much done. Every once in a while he'll do one. I'm just kidding. Like even Michelle Bachmann would say, whatever happened to her anyways? She built that bridge. Now remember, she was even defending. Oh, that's just Locker. Billy, Bill on the bus with Billy Bob. And then that supermodel and the goat came off at the same time. No, there was no goat. But they did have and she didn't look like she was being like touched against her will or anything. I'm just saying, Big Don never had a problem with women wanting to touch him. I'm just saying, okay? Yeah, he was kind of like me. There was a time when I had to beat him off with a baseball bat. Okay, but you're like Bachman is like that's locker room. Sure, most guys in at some point, especially in those types of circles when they were younger, probably talk like that. I never did, but lots did. Uh, but hey, um, whatever. So they're gonna hate me, and then never again's are gonna hate me because I say that about the books. Remember, I'm right down the middle. I agree with some stuff on both sides, and some stuff I don't agree. And if you don't like it, I can't help you, and I don't. That's who I am. I've always gotten along with everybody, pretty much. Really, I believe it or not. Like I just I want to be friends with everybody. I'm not going to disagree. I'm not going to just follow blindly and go, "Oh yeah, Big Don for president. He's going to be president 2024." Yay. Come on. Wake up and smell the coffee, folks. And if I can't live in America where I can have my opinion without being my guts being hated or want now people want to destroy me, well then I don't want to live there anyway. I don't want to be a part of it anyways. Okay? I don't follow around blindly and stupidly. Okay? So I'm just saying, like, you better get that one out of your head if you ever. I don't honestly, I don't know how. That doesn't make me a disloyal. It makes me even a guy that can't send rockets to the moon can see that, and at least I'll be honest about it. So yeah, but anyways, yeah, I'm not gonna explain that again because I don't really care. It's not gonna do any good, and I'm just one guy and a couple billion people on the internet trying to stay alive. Oh, anyways. But if you ever have a chance, if you think you're going to even run against anybody, I mean, they could literally put up anybody at this point. Anybody. Anybody in the entire world could beat Big Don. Junior Mints, Ivanka, all of them. That they don't like the Trumps. If you didn't figure that out. Anyways. Okay, so this morning I gotta get to work. I'm in Mark chapter 7, verses 14 through 37. Then Jesus, or in the New Living Translation, of course. I'll give you a moment to get your favorite Bible translation, just in case there's anybody out there. I got one or two people that may just listen. I mean, I can't imagine, right? But you never know. We're broadcasting around the universe. Okay? There could be one. You never know. Half the kingdom? Hey. Uh yeah. So normally I would be in the King James Version, but remember I'm a logical, practical person and I'm thinking 18 to 30. Yeah, probably not into the King James Version if she's into the Bible at all. Safe bet. So this here, I'd rather be reading the NIV, but I don't know if I have one somewhere. I think over there. I just got this and I started reading it, and I thought, well, it's really good for like if you're reading the KJB, the KGB. Is that Russian? KGB, KJB, and you want a little clarification. If you're kind of slow like me at first, it'll help clarify what if you want a quick reference. So, yeah. Hey, if you're gonna be mad at me, and I know, see, but I'm the kind of guy. You know what? I don't really care. Like if now like a couple million people hate my guts because I won't blindly follow Trump into the ditch in 4 years, and I'm saying, hey, if you really want to try it, you got to find somebody else. Hey, whatever. It's the truth, and how y'all could think it's not. Understand that maybe it is a cult. I don't know. Is Joshua Van in it? Yeah, because when you go on the Christian chat, I'm thinking that's what it is. I was not Republican enough on ChristianChat.com because when you have to authenticate and create your or your nickname, the CAPTCHA, the thing that verifies that you're not a robot. It asks you who's the current president of the United States, and you have to write Trump. So yeah, they're like they might be one of those kind of people, especially if it's Joshua Van. Oh, he sounds sexy. Mmm. Is there a seed in there? And if I can get him singing one din alu, yeah. I don't always get this excited, but when I do, I get my black leather gloves on. Yeah, thanks for banning me. You did me a favor. Oh, thank God. And I'm like, those are the type of people I'm guessing maybe I think they call those extremists or something. Because you know what? I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. And you still banned me? And I didn't do anything wrong. At least that time, that year. Not saying I didn't in the past, but I didn't deserve that. And so that was God's intervention for sure. And I'm like, yeah, those are the people are thinking Trump is still going to be president. I'm just saying, be realistic. Come on. Is there anybody you could run? I don't know. I'm not into it, but yeah, not Big Don. Might want to go play with the little white balls with him, stuff like that. He's getting up there, pretty old. And yeah, just so you know, Junior Mints. Yeah, I mean, you're cool. Your dad is Big Don. You own all, you can own all that Trump empire, but you're not going to be president. Then Jesus called to the crowd to come and hear. All of you listen, he said, and try to understand. It's not what goes into your body that defiles you. You are defiled by what comes from your heart. Then Jesus went into a house to get away from the crowd, and his disciples asked him what he meant by the parable he had just used. Don't you understand either? He asked. Can't you see that the food you put into your body cannot defile you? Food doesn't go into your heart, it only passes through the stomach and then goes into the sewer. By saying this, he declared that every kind of food is acceptable in God's eyes. And then he added, it is what comes from inside that defiles you. For from within, out of a person's heart, come evil thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, wickedness, deceit, lustful desires, envy, slander, pride, and foolishness. All these vile things come from within. They are what defile you. The faith of a Gentile woman. Then Jesus left Galilee and went north to the region of Tyre. He didn't want anyone to know which house he was staying in, but he couldn't keep it a secret. Right away, a woman who had heard about him came and fell at his feet. Her little girl was possessed by an evil spirit, and she begged him to cast out the demon from her daughter. Since she was a Gentile born in born in Syrian Phoenicia, Jesus told her, "First I should feed the children, my own family, the Jews." Wow, that's the New Testament. I bet you those people that Big Don said there's good people on both sides. These are the kind of verses they should probably read. You know, them ones with the swastikas and stuff like that. They ought to try. We ought to get some verses like this to these people that supposedly say they're Christians. I'm not quite sure where the white supremacy and Christianity, how that they figured that went together, but I guess those are the same guys that really pissed off those guys that probably shot Bobby. You know, that got the boom boom now, and like if you piss them off, like and you owe 'em money, and you're on drugs, and they're like, yeah, we don't like you. You stay right here. I'll be right back. It isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs. She replied, that's true, Lord, but even the dogs under the table are allowed to eat the scraps from the children's plates. Good answer, he said. Now go home, for the demon has left your daughter. And when she arrived home, she found her little girl lying quietly in bed, and the demon was gone. Well, again, it reminds me of the hypocrisy here of Catholicism. Pretty much what, how many, a billion, a million, how many Catholics are there? 1.2 billion Roman Catholics, and it's not the same as it used to be, right? It's gradually boiled the frog. Regardless of what's going, that's a whole, regardless of NAMBLA at the Vatican City, there's lots of wonderful, very, very, very perfect Catholics that have, never abused drugs, never drank, go to school, perfect families, never hurt anybody, okay? I know that. They've helped me, many of them, okay? But again, there's a hypocrisy in society where if somebody mentions an exorcism, you're like, well, maybe not so much today, but when I was growing up, there still used to be a few of them 20 years ago. And you're like, yeah, see, they didn't like get all squirmy when people would talk about an exorcism. They'd be like, oh, does anybody do that anymore? And you'd see a few movies. I don't know if there was some similarities or not. Never been at an exorcism. But boy, Christians, evangelical Christians, if they were to, because it says we can still, I mean, I don't know about all this, penny in and walking on, I ain't seen anybody walk on, well, I can walk on ice. But yeah, they say we can pray, we can still cast out evil spirits. And I'm saying, well, Jesus did it here. And that's not mentally ill. So if it wasn't mentally ill for the Catholics to do exorcisms, it shouldn't be mentally ill. It shouldn't be a mental illness, because that's kind of what they're trying to do in this DSMV. The same people that are pushing them books, they're trying to say, hey, yeah, you're pretty much certifiable now, and even when you're not, we're just gonna like try to make you look crazy. Pretty sure that's the play out of the Manifesto Communist Manifesto book. But then, oh, remember, never again. There she comes. Hey, Nicky boy. Hey, don't forget about that polar bear. Better don't get to, huh? Don't get too far out of pocket here, son. And don't forget, I got all them salad bar girls. And I'm thinking, man, I just don't know what to do anymore. Like, I can't help but be honest. And so you're like, well, we've got lesbian, official lesbian, what do they call them in the Catholic Church? Priests or something? And there's like a lot of people, millions of people that go to them and they're like, hey, you're no different than that guy 50 years ago where he wouldn't even get married to a woman. Maybe once in a while he accidentally did because he's a human being. And they're like, well, this is normal. And I'm like, I don't think so, but I'm not going to fight you on it. I got enough to worry about, like this balance sheet here today, which I really enjoy. And so, like, I want to do that instead of worry about what other people are doing, because it's just a waste of time, and it makes people mad. But don't try to change what I think, because I was here for before most of you, before you got all that going. I was a moderate, and so don't, just because I don't agree with it, don't try to accuse me of being mentally ill, and don't try to destroy me. I'll try to be respectful, but you have to remember, you know, I was here before you, and I don't want my child reading those books. And that's called being a parent. Remember when we used to do that and big government wasn't involved? Never again's well, like you remember the people on the boat and all that? Yeah. Well, that's why we had to get involved in the government so that that polar bear wouldn't eat you, and maybe you'd have some soup. But don't forget, even after all that, you're gonna have to have one of those to get that soup, probably. Unless you know a couple of people you didn't piss off yet. It isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs, she replied. That's true, Lord, but even the dogs under the table are allowed to eat the scraps from the children's plates. I read this, I know. Good answer, he said. Now go home, for the demon has left your daughter. And when she arrived home, she found her little girl lying quietly in bed, and the demon was gone. Jesus heals a deaf man. Jesus left Tyre and went up to Sidon before going back to the Sea of Galilee and the region of the Ten Towns. A deaf man with a speech impediment was brought to him, and the people begged Jesus to lay his hands on the man to heal him. Jesus led him away from the crowd so they could be alone. He put his fingers into the man's ears, then, spitting on his own fingers, he touched the man's tongue. Looking up to heaven, he sighed and said, Ephphatha, Ephphatha, which means be opened. Instantly, the man could hear perfectly, and his tongue was freed so he could speak plainly. Jesus told the crowd not to tell anyone, but the more he told them not to, the more they spread the news. They were completely amazed and said again and again, everything he does is wonderful. He even makes the deaf to hear and gives speech to those who cannot speak. Look, I think this boils down to we basically come to, like I said, I think what's happened is we have people on like Pal Talk and yeah, IRC is dead. It is the dark net. And there's a few stragglers, and from what I can see, they're basically all evil. I'm serious. It's not, and even back in the day, they were pretty evil, but there's no, they're whoever's, they don't seem very nice people, and they're kind of scary, and you have no idea who you're talking to. I'm not saying there's not a few good people, but for the most part, they seem pretty. The stuff they talk about, they're definitely not Christians. They're definitely not God. And they talk about some really evil stuff, and they're hiding. You want to talk about Nambla and some weird stuff? Yeah, I mean that's where they're at. They started. And they're in secrecy. But on Pal Talk, I guess the only thing I can think of is it's a few lettered agents left and a few mentally ill people that don't have to work or whatever. And they're on like they're in FBI, CIA, and they have voice changers, and they're bored. And they have to work online, so in their spare time, instead of like it's not practical for them to go out much. So and then there's not a whole lot of people to spread the gospel to, and so they work online, and so what they do in their spare time is they argue with each other. That's the only thing I can come up with because that's not what Jesus taught us, and so and maybe they've run out of people. I think we've come to a plateau as far as having, depending on there's going to be this great revival. Maybe if we have some initial pain, they start coming with this for real in our lifetime, and it's not just hey, you can get in the vending machine a little easier, and hey, and it wakes a few people up. For the most part, I think we're seeing the great falling away, the waxing worse, the even the very elect will can be deceived, etc., etc., right? And so if it's real, and that again, that's one thing that's about the only one thing I took away from Sarah KS. She's supposedly Doctors Without Borders in Kansas City. Her brother's a pilot. She's adopted or something, and but she's very smart. She come from a pretty decent family there, or something like that. And she would always remind you that, look, this is debate 101. You can't prove that there is a God, and you can't prove there's not a God. It's faith, regardless. And so we've basically come down to people just don't believe this, and they're sick, they feel persecuted themselves, and that's why they feel so free to be able to do that stuff, put those books out there, and nobody can say a word anymore because they feel like for 200 years they've been oppressed. And so I'm saying, look, yeah, we're all going in a 6-foot hole. If you got a better story, you got a better, other than we just don't exist or we die. Because look, if I look out there, I go, there has to be a God. All you have to do is look at a woman. Oh, if you're heterosexual, naked lady. Oh, G-rated. If you look at a lady and you're like, oh yeah, there's a God, right? No question. Look at all the beautiful flowers and plants and just, if you think that came from a fish or something, or it just evolved, like, okay, fine. I'm even okay with spontaneous combustion, the Big Bang, but who did that? Who created that? Where did that science come from? It had to just random. It's just amazing to think about. And so, again, I can't get over the idea that there's not a God. I can't even be agnostic where there's not enough information. Oh, it's right out there. Look out your window. And so you're like, well, just in the event that it is true, again, it goes back to why, other than pride and, well, I agree. If you listen to a lot of the preachers, some of them, and even me, because I'm not real smart, but think about it. If you're a God of the universe, you got to be an equal opportunity. You can't be discriminating here. It's only fair because not all of us get. If you're a God, you got to make it fair. At least not everybody's going to be doctor, lawyer, accountant. But if you're talking salvation, you shouldn't have to have a PhD to have eternal salvation and not go to hell, right? I mean, that's pretty basic. And so you're saying, well, what else could it be? You got your magic, you got your Islam. I mean, I suppose you got your Hinduism, you got your Judaism, and hey, I'm cool. I mean, hey, God's people. I'm not going to argue. Whatever. We'll sort it out later. But as far as where we're at with the world, like I said, we're at the atomic clock. We're about ready to fry everybody up. Clearly, there's evil in the world. So if it's not the devil, who is it? If there's something else, if you got a better story, let's hear it. I'm all ears. But just for what else could it be? We just die and all this evil was just made up too, and it's not what this says it is. No, I think they're just getting rid of this, and we're seeing people get worse. They're susceptible to their lust. Everybody is in this carcass of flesh, and we're all, it's tough because yeah, God made ladies, and they are beautiful, all colors and shapes and sizes. Oh yeah, from all religions. It's funny. It's funny. It's strange when you get a lady. Somehow she can make you forget about what religion or what all this here. You forget all about that. You're like, you're really pretty. Yeah, yeah. You're like, And so what else could it be? And I'm saying, why not? But even okay, you don't even have to tell anybody about it, really, technically. Apparently it's getting in the water is a public declaration, but you can pray to God on your own, and maybe people do that. They're so embarrassed. Because I agree, it's hard. It can be hard to believe, but I figure even if it's not perfect, it's basic in Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth. There's something here. God left us, even if it's not perfect. He gave us a pretty good idea of what's going on, and he gave us a way out. And why you wouldn't take that, I don't know. But at the end of the day, that's really what life is about, right? It's about that's pretty much all Jesus said. He didn't say sit around pal talk and argue with each other, even if you're a lettered agent. He said, go make disciples of all nations, and then the end shall come. And they're pretty much there, and they got that red heifer, remember? There's one place, I read something about a year ago, and they might have even got to him. There was one place left in the Amazon where there's one indigenous tribe left or something, and this guy went out there to make contact, and they killed him, or they murdered him and threw his body back in the water or something, and I don't know. It's somewhere in the Indian Ocean. In fact, it's strange, like the Indian government protects them, or somewhere out that way. They're like, you cannot go in there. You have to leave them alone. And people, like Christian missionaries, are still trying to get in there because it's like the last place. So once they do that, and they fire up that shekel of the sanctuary, and old Hefner gets his red heifer going. Yeah, you better make a decision here. So, hey, and it could be we're wrong, and the Jews are right, because that'd be the only other one I could even think about going with. And it's possible. I'm just saying, it doesn't seem practical to me with where we're at. It seems to me that yes, they are God's chosen people, and like the Bible says, they won't be able to accept Jesus until he comes out of that sky on a white horse flaming with fire, and every knee shall bow, etc. Right? But I'm honest enough and realize that they could be right too. And I suppose, yeah, even the Muslims, because hey, they must be doing something right. There must be a great judgment not only on America but on Christians. If that Islamist guy can lay down on that floor in my backyard where I grew up and rode my bike 50 years ago, nearly, and I ask him politely, hey, could you get out of my way, dude? Uh, you can't, like, you're laying on the floor and you're doing it on purpose, and and we all know it, and they're letting you get away with it. But like, can you just please go over there? Don't, like, there's like everybody's walking through here, and I'm the only one that'll say something because I'm dumb enough to take the bait, I guess. But I didn't know you had that guy in the office there, and you had backup in there too. Or I would have probably thought about it if I'd have seen that guy and known he was in on it. I probably would have kept. I probably just walked around you. All right. They must be doing something right because God is allowing that kind of stuff to happen right here in America, and all the atheists and homosexuals are like, "Yay, yay!" That's why we. It's strange though that they let that happen. Remember, and if they go, these very people that are here demanding tolerance in our own country, and they would guillotine us over there. If you're a homosexual atheist, try going to any of those countries in the Middle East. And by the way, remember that, and they're trying to take over the little country in Israel. Remember, you said you love America. Oh wait, no, you don't. That's why you don't want an ally. The last one. These very people that would butcher you for being gay, and they want to take over Israel too. Must be a great judgment. And that's the truth. And people know it. They just, I don't know, they won't even admit it anymore. Look, I've seen some of these. Look, most of the time, nothing against people from the South. I've seen some of these preachers from the South, and they make me look like a PhDer, right? They are. I'll be honest. It's just tough, like unless you're from the South for sure, to be like, yeah, I'll be at your church on Sunday. Yeah, you sound real normal, right? I agree. So, but so we don't always have the greatest advocates. But hey, you got a better story? Because I'd like to hear it. In the event that we're going somewhere, heaven or hell, if it's true, why take the chance? And ultimately, Jesus didn't say, what's going to matter in 10,000. Nobody said that. I say that. What's going to matter? Well, the one guy said it, and I'm repeating it. What's going to matter in 10,000 years? Not another balance sheet that's going to be is already automated and it's going to be obsolete. It's already obsolete, but I just enjoy doing it. I like it because I should have done it 20 years ago, so I want to figure it out, and I pay someone to learn it. But what's going to matter? It's not another Apple paper. It's not another paper. Okay, and we're back. Attitude adjustment. See, instead of when something good happens, are you this narcissistic, mentally ill person, Nick? No, I'm not. Well, can you give us an example? Well, something good happens, so I don't get cockier or more sarcastic. No, I go, I'm thankful. And so, oh, you mean you're not going to say Amarillo Slim now for a while? Well, at least for now. I'll just say Mr. Amarillo. Oh, so you won't say Tiny Timmy? No, I'll just say Timmy for now. We'll see if we can keep it right there. Sure, because I recognize, oh, that's mindfulness. Yeah. And so like, ultimately that boils what being a Christian? Go preach the gospel, the good news, put your faith in Jesus, the death, burial, and resurrection. That's it. At the end of the day, that's the great equalizer. It doesn't matter if you can send rockets to the moon. It doesn't matter if you can, you're Tom Brady and you got supermodel. This God made man and Jesus made him even. And it's fair, whether you're a cosmic bozo pinhead like me or not. Just for the sake of debate. If it's true, if anything's true, this really, regardless if I'm from the West or we got silly Billy Bob Preacher 777s down south that, hey, they're not real good at marketing. I'm pretty sure we should not put them on the this girl in one of my classes, she said, hey, Nick, marketing is not your stick. And I'm thinking, yeah, same thing with them. Most of them preachers down south, you probably don't want them on the front page. Okay, most of them. And you're like, so at the end of the day, if what's going to matter in 10,000? Preach the gospel. Jesus said, go preach the gospel. Get as many souls saved. And God said, I wish that not one would perish, but all should have eternal life. And you're like, tell them the good news. Anybody can do that. It's fair. It's fair. So you're like, Jesus' second argument against the Pharisees was a proverb that Jesus told the crowd. Later, in the privacy of a home, Jesus explained it to his disciples. It concerns moral It concerns moral distinctions about eating. Eating affects the digestive system. Speaking of which, I really enjoy popcorn. See, your body is going to change. My body, I cannot digest those. If I eat them really slow, like, okay, Grandpa, I'm like, if I eat like one at a time and I pretend like Sadie Robertson is listening in on the microphone and like I'm really slow and she can't hear me even chew. And like I eat like one kernel every minute, like maybe and have some water and go real slow. Like otherwise, like I had a stomach ache. I ate some popcorn. I'm like, I just can't digest that stuff. Excuse me. That's part of the problem. Again, it's kind of I'm like I'm like these 24-hour audio and video surveillance, which I mean, I'm thinking, how does the president ever get any? How do some of those people ever get any privacy? That's like to have somebody constantly hear all your bodily functions. It's a little embarrassing. So I try not to be, because we need full disclosure for a while. I don't know when, how long, but maybe we'll let people see what's going on long enough for enough people to say, hey, that guy is just pretty much normal. Yeah, we don't like him, but he's not mentally ill. He just believes in that Bible, and he's not really one of us, but he's not going to bother anybody or himself. I mean, how many days do you gotta watch him? Later, in the privacy of a home, Jesus explained it to his disciples. It concerns moral distinctions about eating. Eating affects the digestive system, but moral issues involve the heart. The heart is a metaphor for the seat of moral decision making. How a person eats with clean or unclean hands, or what a person eats, clean or unclean food, affects only the digestive tract, so it has no bearing on the moral issues of the soul. To help his later readers understand the implications of Jesus' teaching, Mark adds the interpretive comment by saying this: he declared that every kind of food is acceptable in God's eyes. In the apostolic church, Peter and Paul were instrumental in bringing this implication to light. That was the other thing. Like, seriously, who was that guy? Vic? He was the preterist everybody hated on Pal Talk from Chicago or something. Pretty smart guy. I don't know. He had some physical problems or something, maybe on Social Security or something. But um, he was one of those. Actually, oh, he did you realize that the Duck Dynasty crew? They're a unique. Which kind of Christians are they? From that special type of church. It's a little different. They're from the group that I didn't know this at all until later, way later. They're from the group. That's why they don't have any instruments down at Phil's church. I forget what they call them. Uh, which ones are those? I don't. I'm not gonna Google his. What is that? Christian church that bans the use of instruments. But remember, Vic would spend like if you got time to sit around Pal Talk and argue about whether or not Christians. I mean, clearly in the Old Testament, If you got time to sit around and argue about like a Christian making a joyful noise to the Lord and all they're doing and like you're like, oh well, you can sing, but there's no example of any apostles or any worship service anywhere in the New Testament where they used an instrument. Okay, yeah, technically, sure, I guess you're right, but like, don't you got something better to do? Like, what do you care if like somebody banging on a tambourine or something? I mean, it's clearly all over Proverbs and Psalms and the old. I mean, like, come on. What are they called? I didn't realize that, but the Duck Dynasty crew is one of those. A little different, like, which is fine. I mean, it's a little more, and I understand because like you go to somebody who's like, oh, so did you ever went to Living Word Christian Center? Oh yeah, you mean in Brooklyn Park with that guy that that Tommy Rogan we went. So he Living Word, his dad, remember that guy? Uh, his dad was like 100 years old and ran in the senior citizen Olympics and had like the 50-yard dash. He was like, what was that guy's the pastor? He might even still be there. So I went there for a while. Let's see, is he still the pastor? He probably the lead pastor, but he probably didn't. Mac Hammond, remember Mac Hammond's dad? Yeah, I was there. I was there the time when Mac probably just wanted before his dad died, and he was up front, and I was sitting right next to him. And he got up, and he had his dad sit up, and he was like, "Yeah, my dad's like 105 years old, and he just won. He just won the gold medal in, what was it? Yeah, some senior citizen Olympic thing." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool." But yeah, so you went to like places like that? Yeah, Matt Hammond, Living Word Christian Center, and stuff like that. And but what is that? I want to say I don't want to Google. See, I don't want to get accused. I refuse to Google Duck Dynasty Church, Phil, because I don't. I'm not going to get accused because there'll be a record of me doing that, and they'll be like, you're in the look at him. We knew he'd be. He's looking for a duck call again. No, but I can't think of it. I'm gonna have to write myself a note because that's gonna. I'll think of it eventually. Uh, church without. I always found that weird. Like, why? If you got time to sit around, like you got too much time on your hands. If you're gonna go, you're gonna spend all day arguing about whether or not we ought to be able to have an instrument in church. I should. What is that? Church of what? Uh, what? Oh, wait a minute. I know how I can find it. I can. There's one in Roseville, Minnesota. Roseville Church of Christ. There it is. So the Church of Christ. That's what it's called. Yeah. So they're like you. It's like a cardinal sin. No instruments. Phil's the Duck Dynasty original church is like that. Mhm. By saying this, he declared that every kind of food is acceptable in God's eyes. In the apostolic church, Peter and Paul were instrumental in bringing this implication to light. I mean, that's fine if you want to go to the church. There's not many left. Real churches of Christ, they've kind of broken off too. These verses summarize 13. Just don't sit around and don't argue about it. These verses summarize 13 things that truly defile a person. These actions and vices all come from the heart. The discussion of clean and unclean and of undefiled and defiled has prepared readers for the story of the Gentile woman's faith. For Jews, Gentiles were defiled by definition because they did not keep the regulations of the OT, especially Mark. The city of Tyre and its surrounding regions lie on the Mediterranean coast in modern-day Lebanon. Originally an island, Tyre became a peninsula when Alexander the Great constructed a half-mile ramp from the mainland in 322 BC. Tyre had one of the most important harbors on the eastern side of the Mediterranean Sea. People earlier had come from Tyre to hear Jesus and see him work miracles, which explains how the Tyrian woman knew of him. There is much discussion about why Jesus left Galilee to visit this Gentile region. Mark provides no explanation, so any suggestion is pure speculation. Mark's Gentile readers, however, would have understood this journey by Jesus as foreshadowing the church's mission to the Gentile world that led to their own conversion. The woman was from. Oh, I read this already? Yeah? Did I read this? Oh, yeah, I think I did. I can't remember. I get lost in all this. I guess I did. Did I read that? I'll read it again. I don't care. No, maybe I did. The woman was from Syrian Phoenicia and therefore a Gentile. The urgency and intensity of the woman's petition is seen in her falling at Jesus' feet and begging. Jesus' reply to the woman seems like a harsh refusal, but their interaction indicates that he wanted to see her faith. First, I should feed the children, my own family, the Jews. Yeah, I did read this, didn't I? Oh well, I can read it again. It's not upsetting me, you know. The devil don't want to hear it. Jesus' use of first did not exclude her as a Gentile from the grace of God, but indicated that his mission was first to the Jews. Yeah, and the whole thing started with, hey, go preach to the Jews first, all the white supremacists. The woman responded to Jesus' words with humility and faith. She acknowledged the priority of the Jewish people, but argued that there was more than enough food for the dogs as well. In Jewish literature, Gentiles were frequently referred to as dogs. Well, that might be part of the reason why there's these white supremacists too. Hey, I'm fair and balanced. Yeah, you might not want to call the white people dogs either, which were seen as filthy scavengers rather than as adorable pets. See also note on, and then you throw in the whole give us your money and not to your parents and don't help them, but you can give it to the chain smoking rabbi. Yeah, I mean there's some reasons there too. Let's be fair and balanced. The woman's persistence and acknowledgement of Jesus as Lord were rewarded for similar healings from a distance. But let's not forget, those are God's, there's no question, and if you ever question they're God's people, look at how many times he sent them in diaspora and brought them back, or people like King David, but God knew their hearts, and he always brought them back, and they always returned to God and worship him the way he demanded. And so even when he got really, really mad at them, he really, really loved them still. For similar healings from a distance, this miracle, and that's why I get back to this whole how you got Islamists or Muslims in the Knesset, the ruling legislative body of Jerusalem, and then you've got them occupying the Temple Mount to maintain peace because you're afraid of a million Muslim march. 10 million, 100 million. Dividing East Jerusalem. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Kushner knows better than that. Why they think they're going to present a peace plan like that that's not going to create World War III unless they're trying to do it. God is not going to be all right with that. In my opinion, according to this. This miracle is very similar in order and vocabulary to the healing of the blind man. And healing miracles in the Gospels follow a similar pattern. The constant telling and retelling of similar stories probably standardized their form and wording. This healing miracle includes a change of scene, although some interpret the next miracle as occurring in the Gentile world, Sidon or Decapolis. It probably took place after Jesus returned to the Sea of Galilee. The next incident takes place there without a change of scene. The healing was performed privately to prevent the spread of messianic fervor. Jesus also used saliva, eye salve, no eye salve, there's no drop kicks, no jumping through drywall, no drop kicks, no boots. Jesus also used saliva in a healing where he spit on a man's eyes and curing his blindness. The medicinal use of saliva in ancient times is well documented. Since Jesus was looking up to heaven when he sighed, his sigh was probably best understood as a prayerful gesture. Ephphatha is an Aramaic term that Mark translates for his readers. These are not magical formulas or incantations. Mark is simply recounting some of the original words Jesus spoke. Matthew and Luke do not seem to have attributed any special significance to the Aramaic words of Jesus since they did not include them in their Gospels. And that's a reminder. I need to get to work. So I'm going to finish reading and I got to go do some formulas because, mostly this is just documentation. I know nobody's listening, but this is stuff I've been talking to people about and it's important. To me, it was significant. Some of the basic stuff that I picked up on, some talking points over the last 30 years that I would want my children and great grandchildren to consider in life, or to look back and go, oh, this is what my grandpa was thinking, or this, he wasn't just in the corner, sticking paper clips in the outlet eating his boogers. Maybe not that smart, but at least he tried. Okay. The life application study Bible portion. As they interpreted the dietary laws, Leviticus 11, the Jews believed they could be clean before God because of what they refused to eat. Um, I've noticed some people have an issue with Christians eating kosher, and I'm like, well, remember that thing where Jesus said, "Don't make your brother stumble and don't judge." Like, yeah, don't do anything to cut. Don't judge the person if they want to eat. They don't want to eat pink slime, or they just want to pay an extra dollar or two and support God's people and their bit. Like, don't get mad that don't think they're not Christian. Jesus pointed out that sin begins in the attitudes and intentions of the inner person. Jesus did not degrade the law, but he paved the way for the change made clear in Acts. When God removed the cultural restrictions regarding food, while being concerned about what we put into our bodies is a good, healthy practice, very few people are as stringent about what they put into their minds through reading or watching television. Oh, yeah, throw that television. Yeah, unless you can afford cable, very much throw that thing out the window in the garbage. Especially with the internet, you don't need to watch that reprogramming of the re-education systems. But if you can afford there's a lot of God TV, there's a lot of good Christian programming, there's a lot of your Still Science channel. Do they still have C-SPAN? I don't know. But you have to really remember, right? It's your hard drive of your brain, like computer. What your brain hears, this word, what goes in, everything can affect you subliminally, right? Even your eyes, we know that. I've mentioned that. They talked about that's why they did the film. It apparently worked on everybody but me. Just kidding. They use these impulse flashes, everything from the commercials, the way they're designed. Even looking at that TV, I think is, yeah. I only use it for seeing if there's anything blowing up, what the headlines are. Are we in World War III? Has he started to come out of the sky? Are they publishing that on every channel yet? Stuff like that. Other than that, I mean, I got enough to do here. Just read the Bible and live a quiet life and work with my hands. Jesus was more concerned about mind set and thought processes than about food loss. Do you worry about what foods you eat, but put junk food in your mind? An evil action begins with a single thought. Allowing our mind to dwell on lust, envy, hatred, or revenge will lead to sin. And the wages of sin is death. I know it sounds extreme, but when that is, and there is that verse in Romans where it says, for those, and you don't like to hear it, but it's there. It says, for those that know the truth. And then once God basically, what is that? There is no remission of sins. Pretty scary verse. It's kind of that verse where, okay, you're once saved, always saved, but guess what? Yeah, if there ever was an argument that at some point, like a woman, when God says he's done and he's given you enough chances, you could die in your sins. And the wages of sin is death. And no man knows but God when that time is. And hey, you might press your luck, but there's a good chance you could die in your sin. Don't defile yourself by focusing on evil. Instead, follow Paul's advice in Philippians and think about what is true, honorable, right, pure, lovely, and admirable. Jesus traveled about 30 miles to Tyre. The cities of Tyre and Sidon were port cities on the Mediterranean Sea north of Israel. Both had flourishing trade and were very wealthy. They were proud, historic Canaanite cities. Pride. Pride comes before destruction, haughtiness before a fall, right? The Bible says that's an amazing thing why God, he created us with this natural, even if you're not a millionaire or you didn't write books or you didn't, somehow we have this intrinsic nature in human nature just to be, I don't know, maybe sarcastic and kind of haughty and arrogant, even when we have no reason to be. This is human nature, right? And maybe, and God's like, yeah, I put that in there, and guess what? You better watch it, because I'll feed you humble pie real fast, and He will. And it talks about this pride a lot. You really, you got to work hard at that one. It's tough. It's just something even a poor guy from Forest Lake with a floor from the pits of hell can find reasons to be haughty and prideful. They were proud historic Canaanite cities. In David's day, Tyre was on friendly terms with Israel, but soon afterward the city became known for its wickedness. Sodom and Gomorrah. Oh, that's my favorite one. Right. Sodomy. Yeah, that was my favorite one. One of my favorites. Yeah, Sodom had nothing to do with sodomy. It just had to do with the sin of the time. And well, what if sodomy wasn't a sin back then? The Old Testament. What was? Oh, that was just about their attitude. And I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. You won't even admit that they named sodomy after Sodom? Hello? Yeah, Big Don's going to be president. Okay. In David's day, Tyre was on friendly terms with Israel, but soon afterward the city became known for its wickedness. Its king even claimed to be God, and that's what we're going to see again, right? And the abomination of desolation. Big Don is going to become president, and he's going to fire up that red heifer with him and Kushner. And hey, if it wasn't my daughter, look at her. She's pretty cute. She's pretty cute. You see them pictures when she was a little girl? Huh? She wasn't my daughter. Big Don's gonna sit in that seat there and claim to be God, right? Yeah, if he's gonna be president, sure, I might start believing that too. The abomination of desolation. Okay. Tyre rejoiced when yeah, maybe if you wouldn't have said that and done that in front of the world, maybe you would have had a chance. It's even claimed to be God. Tyre rejoiced when Jerusalem was destroyed in 586 BC because without Israel's competition, Tyre's trade and profits would increase. It was into this evil and materialistic culture that Jesus brought his message. See now, you know what they did to that? Who was that guy, that radio guy? And he would talk about his mom, so he was a good guy. They chased him out. They ran him out of town with the goat too, probably. What's his name? Or they tried. Chicago uh, syndicated radio conservative ran for president, no longer on air. What was his name? Who was that guy? See, Timmy won't tell me. See, you never heard a word. Oh, there he is. Joseph Walsh. Whatever happened to Walsh? Okay, Walsh. They ran him out of town. Now he was a reasonable. Now his problem was he went after Trump too early. He started talking against Trump, and they ran him out of town like a goat. And they even had him on Fox News a few times. And so, yeah, they're gonna. He was actually reasonable, and he was a nice guy. He would talk about his family. He would talk about his mother. He was a nice guy. He seemed to me, and he was a moderate. He did not like Trump, but yeah. Why did I mention that? How did I think of that guy? Uh, its king even claimed to be God. Tyre rejoiced when Jerusalem was destroyed in 586 BC because without Israel's competition, Tyre's trade and profits would increase. It was into this evil and materialistic culture that Jesus brought his message. Is Walsh even alive? Did they do the Breitbart heart attack on him too? I'm sure but they chased him out of town like a goat. And he wasn't your super uh, radio guy, but he was nationally syndicated. Excited to be back. Welsh to launch national radio on what show? He was congressman for one semester. Yeah, Joe Walsh, don't be looking at that, buddy. I'm gonna have to not be your friend. Okay? Don't be looking that way, Joey. Okay, forget Joe Walsh then. I'm not gonna mention him. But he came after Trump way too early. I mean, he was never going to be president, but why they chased him off the radio? He's looking the wrong direction, so maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, could be wrong. I report, you decide. Why did I bring him up though? Because he was one of the guys like me but I never, I'm not talking against Trump. I agree. He was mean. He didn't care. He was he talked too much about Trump's personality. Whatever happened to voting for a president on policy, you know? So, but then old Michelle Obama's going to be like, well, for the grace of God, there go we, and you better vote like your life depends on it, huh, little Nicky boy? Yes, you are. I mean, if this is about choosing life or death here, son. And I'm saying, hey, yes, ma'am. Love you too. And I'm like, Tyre rejoiced when Jerusalem was destroyed in 586 BC because without Israel's competition, Tyre's trade and profits would increase. It was into this evil and materialistic culture that Jesus brought his message. But you have to remember, I come from a fishing and hunting family, and some of this stuff, these books, yeah, I don't want to die, but some of this stuff is not easy adjustment to accept where, yeah, at the end of the day, you're going to be like, okay, remember, I got to eat and I want to live. And if that polar bear is over there going to eat me and he's got no salad bar, yeah, I mean, the decision gets pretty simple, right? But you're like, well, if I keep trying and I try to be moderate and respect everybody's and and be friends with everybody and try to consider their opinion and not be like most people where I believe what I believe and what you believe is wrong and I refuse to even consider what you're saying. That's what we have today. You wonder why politics is so polarized? This woman is called a Gentile born in Syrian Phoenicia. Mark's designation refers to her political background. His Roman audience would easily identify her by the part of the empire that was her home. Yeah. And just a reminder, everybody, bad boy underscore 612, aka Joe's Funhouse, Joseph, Old Joe, Waldo Garcia, did not build the Pizza Domino's empire. Steve Hooney's built all the international Middle Eastern. That's an empire. Since she was a Gentile born in Syrian Phoenicia, Jesus told her. On the surface, Jesus' words may seem harsh and unsympathetic, but the woman recognized them as a wide open door to God's throne. The woman's attitude was expectant and hopeful, not prickly or hypersensitive. She knew what she wanted and she believed Jesus could provide. Hypersensitive. So that's one of your character defects, Nick. Okay. We can work on that. She knew what she wanted and she believed Jesus could provide. We could learn from this woman's singular purpose and optimistic resilience. Jesus really does want to meet our needs. When we pray, we're talking to a friend. We have a friend in Jesus. Me and half the kingdom are going to the shekel of the sanctuary. This miracle shows that Jesus' power over demons is so great that he doesn't need to be present physically in order to free someone. His power transcends any distance. When Jesus said, "Be opened," he used language that this deaf man would understand. The healing message was personal and unique. Whoever thought spittle might be the conduit of a miracle. Hmm. The spittle. Yeah, I had one person try to spit on me. And you guessed who? That's right, Madeline's mom. In my entire life. If there is only one means of witness in your church sermons, for instance, many people likely will not hear. Churches need lots of different methods to meet diverse needs. Let musicians play, singers sing. Musicians play, singers sing, actors act, and writers write. Let each creative Christian tell the story. Jesus used spit and mud. You're like a stick in the mud, Nicky boy. Surely we can find windows to the minds and hearts of people as well. Well, hopefully that wasn't too controversial. Um, that's the way I see it. Uh, Probably dedicated too much time. Again, 2 hours this morning. Um, but hey, I guess I'll be kind of like a woman on this one, right? And God, when I'm done, I'll probably be done. Cause yeah, we never. But you know what? I told you. You know what? There is so much information. Like I am gonna be one of these guys. Is gonna be like a YouTuber for life. I'm gonna be like, there's so many videos. Like I'm just gonna like. Can I get paid to literally watch and learn stuff, and then like review? Maybe I could get that job. I want that job. I get to learn something, and they'll pay me to like review it or something. Yeah, we already got enough of them. Darn it. And so, but really, folks, that's the problem where we're at. See, you used to be able to disagree with people. They used to respect the office of the presidency regardless. And now we're seen, I don't know why, but I'll be seen as an like if they, and Big Don already knows about me from Pal Talk. Yeah, you already know that. But with Secret Doctrine and all of them, and probably Joshua Van and all them weirdos. But I'll be an absolute deplorable. How dare you disrespect Mr. Don? No, I'm being honest with you. And if I can't be honest, then you're mentally ill, not me. And it's just really unfortunate because I really don't want to create enemies. But hey, as you can tell, I've told the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God. Yeah. Why? So you could be a loudmouth on the internet? No, so I could survive. I choose life and not death. Because the truth will set you free, and he that the Son sets free is free indeed. Yeah. According to them, we're going to find out. We're just putting practicality to the test here, folks. Because they were starting to blackmail me. I'm pretty sure there was. I don't think it was that new black police officer from Forest Lake that we got, but. And regardless whether that happened or it does neither, can't prove it, and they'll just use it against you, and probably should just be quiet as long as they don't shoot you. And yeah, because you're like, well, the brain goes, you're not, if you got enough stress, sometimes I suppose the brain might But as far as seeing 3 gashes in your dog's back with flesh, yeah, that one is not. That one we can't. You don't chalk up as, oh, it was dark out, and there's no way we have a police report here again of suspicious activity. Yeah, you can't get past that one. But anyways, yeah, so we're at 2. So I got some work, and I'm very grateful, and I hope I toned it down a little bit because I really want to get along, and I just want to express my views respectfully, and this is America, so I want to maintain my First Amendment, my Second Amendment, all my amendments, but I want to be able to have freedom of speech within. Like I said, what they did to, I don't know Mike Lindell. I know he figured out a way to put rubber as Mr. Brian Williams, pardon me, Mr. Williams, for this man putting the chopped up rubber into the piece of cloth and become multi-millionaire, still believe in Jesus, doesn't hit the crack pipe no more, gives money to all these recovery people. Did you mention this, Mr. Brian Williams? You know that guy who does all the charity and tries to help people that with their drug addiction and all that? No, you didn't mention that, but this guy, how dare he put the chopped up rubber into this piece of cloth and become more in today's age he come up with something. He reinvented the wheel and made something of himself. But pardon him, Mr. Brian Williams. You must forgive him, please. How dare he? And I'm serious, like why would you blow the guy's mic? All because he's just, if you can't make an allegation. And the funny thing is, y'all didn't even need to hack it. Kind of like nepotism, there's always going to be a little. I mean, I know there's the video. Remember the videos? Oh, you wonder, hey, if you ever wonder why Mike Landell is saying that, remember the guy? They got the picture of the black guy. He's like, hey, give me a stack of them over there. And he goes in and comes right out. He's like, oh, there's another vote for Biden. hey, hey, Big Don, we'll see you in 2024. Yeah, remember that? Okay, yeah, sure, a little bit of that goes on. Always gonna go a little bit on. But as far as why, see, it's by hook or crook now. Lowered that mic, and then they walked off the look. It doesn't even matter the way they treated him. If a guy can't in America, after seeing now, maybe he was acting. Now we're back to statistics again. He wasn't the only one doing that. The funny thing is, y'all didn't even need to do that. I mean, Big Don already did it for you. But they were like, we've been talking about this cat for 4 years, how we hate it. We are not taking any chances. And we promise. Can we get the. Shh, hey, everybody, don't move. Big Don said he's going to run into. You promise, Big Don? But lowering Mike Lindell's mic, and you're like, no, you can't do that. If you don't want people storming the Capitol, you got to keep it open. You got to have open dialogue. Come on, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to be reasonable. I'm trying to be a reasonable voice in America here. We got. You want to get along? You can't force that. You can't. Don't take it away. You can't do that unless you're part of this. If you're part of that, fine. I mean, whatever. But if you're saying you're reasonable, You can't do that. You have to allow freedom of speech. I understand if somebody goes on Twitter and starts ranting and raving and screaming and cussing and being horrible and mean to people, fine. But if we're just saying, hey, we saw a guy doing this and we'd like to know why, you don't just say, you have no proof, none. And you start lowering his mic real slowly till you lock up the iPad, and then there's no recourse left. And then don't ever ask me, not me, because I refuse to throw away my life, especially when it wouldn't matter. Because and don't ever ask me why those people got nuts and stormed the White House. Lauren, Mike, you can't be fair. I mean, you don't have to cheat. You don't have to cheat anymore. You got the numbers. But if you know, hey, I'm just offering a simple observation here. And speaking of that, we're going back into a full observation of audio and video surveillance, not necessarily for your viewing pleasure, but hey, whatever floats your boat. But I gotta get going, and I really gotta get going. But anybody that may have listened, hey, we gotta get. There must be. I gotta come up with some more catchy phrases, not Amber Alerts, but like, you know, only just not for any other purpose than I would. I want a few people to know what the truth about that other thing, in case they try to blackmail me anymore. And my friends probably. So, because I'm pretty sure nobody's listening. Maybe I don't even think my dad has a fast enough internet connection that he could watch this live. He'd have to he could probably download them and they'd take like 3 days. No, they take like hours and then he could probably watch them or something maybe. So, yeah, and again, no disrespect. But yeah, even if Hollywood offered me, well, uh, I'm saying I'm not interested at $500 a day or $1,000 a day. I'm just thinking, me and Brad Pitt. I'm pretty sure like Brad Pitt would enjoy getting me in the L.A. County Jail. I'm just saying, like that would be like something he would enjoy doing. And so, like, I probably will be avoiding L.A. County. Just saying. But yeah. Anyways, uh, no, I'm not taking that back, Brad. Deal with it. Because remember, at the end of the day, when it's $500, a wheelbarrow full of $50 bills, yeah, being Brad Pitt, I mean that might help you a little bit, but yeah, all that money ain't gonna do you a whole lot. I guess if you got the gold, you probably got some of that too. But yeah, I'm not working in Hollywood, not interested. No, thanks, but no thanks. Dad's like, yeah, maybe Elise could get you. I'm not saying for sure, but you never know. She might be able to pull a couple strings. And I'm thinking, yeah, Dad. I mean, you don't know me. If you don't know me by now, if you don't know now, you know. Nicky boy. If you don't know, now you know, Nicky boy. If you don't know me by now. Didn't you? If you ain't figured out, I ain't in this for the money. Prayers don't go up and blessings come down. That don't mean nothing. I'm looking for my own river. Yeah. Picked up a few one-liners here and there from everybody along the way. Hey, I try to cite my sources, but anyways, I got it. Yeah, I should get busy here. Get to work. But I love you and appreciate you. And I mean, maybe if the movies were a little more decent, maybe hey, 15 years ago, you probably could have talked me into a job for about $500 a day. Because I like the movie still, but yeah, very rarely. Every once in a while, a documentary will come along. Every once in a while, there's a halfway normal. But I got so frustrated with trying after going to movies 2 or 3 times a week with that guy up there that started all the treatment centers in the world. Remember that guy? Yeah, he's upstairs. Oh, and by the way, we need to Lord need prayer. He's starting to feel a little pain. If anybody out there that know Tommy Hokanen, he's getting up there. He's almost 80, born in 41. Been sober almost, what is it? He's going on 49 years without one of them. And most of his friends are gone. He's got a couple left from the Diablos on the north side. North side, what's up? Remember that when it was all polar bears? But that was back when Bobby could probably run his mouth and not get shot for owning the crack dealer. Probably, I don't know, several $1,000s, I suppose. Yeah, that guy. And you're like, okay, so he's waking up and he's had some pain. He's got to go to the doctor pretty soon. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. And I'm like, well, I hope you feel better, buddy. And, if there's anything I can do, I hope you know, God's in the healing business. He's done, but the body gets to a breaking point, the break even point, right? And it just doesn't repair itself. And, hey, nobody's perfect, but I'll tell you what, hey, again, growing up with parents I really appreciated. Going over to friends' house where their parents were regularly and consistently intoxicated and there was alcohol on their breath, and oh, yeah, I did my fair share. Yeah, I already know. But I really, looking back, really appreciated being able to come home to sober parents all the time. And really appreciated or having a buddy. That he was divorced from my mom when I was pretty young too yet, but I talked a little bit about that. So, so yeah, I do agree. I believe that if at all possible, parents should try, even for the sake of children, no matter what, stay in the same. Try to keep things normal for the kids. At least till they go off and fly on their own or go to college or something, because it can really mess you up. Not blaming anybody, but yeah, he's up. That's really he's starting to have some pain or something, and yeah, it's weird. I notice he bruises really easy. Like even the dog will scratch him, and I'm like, dang. You're like, yeah, parents don't last forever. It was not a parent, he's his roommate friend, but he used to be, right? Many. And so, yeah. But how many guys can say that? Only a couple other. I mean, he was one of the original that literally started the whole treatment explosion. It all started in pretty much in Minnesota. Yeah, back in the day. So Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. Don't forget that. Don't forget this today, kids. Whatever you do, no matter what, I'm just saying, like, yeah, they want to say, oh, everybody's got to be young. No, you don't. You don't have to. You don't have to. You can be different. You can, you can save yourself a lot of trouble, a lot of heartache, and just say, no, I'm gonna abstain. You say, I don't want to do that. I don't care what they're doing. If they're having fun, I'm gonna go read a book and send rockets to the moon instead. Yeah. So whatever you do, don't take one of them today. Remember, you know you're not gonna do that, right? You're going for a walk. You're going for a hike. You're like, I'll get my backpack. I got some water. I got this little book here. I know what grass and berries and plants I can eat. And hey, I'm not taking that. Mm-hmm. You know, I tell you what, in a world where they're already doing this, they're having chip parties. They've been having them secretly in mostly in. I think they're put. It's a grain. It looks like a grain of rice. So it ain't necessarily this thing, right? So it's probably just a grain of rice. It goes. You ever see them do that little insert like a when you go have surgery? It takes less than a sec. I mean, less than a second. And they're like, uh, they'll say, "Oh, you're what an extremist. You're so paranoid." Yeah, okay, sure, buddy, sure. But yet, it's okay for you to put that in people voluntarily for now. You're not supposed to be talking about that, Nick. Yeah, well, that's part of the Bible. The Bible says. The Bible says. Where's my? Look at that. Did they get rid of that? How did they do that? I think the worst part about audio and video or surveillance is if there's any truth to this stuff they were doing to Big Don outside the White House, which I believe there is. It's called witchcraft. Forget your voodoo dolls. Imagine the plastic. You said, well, what'd you show your identification? Well, hey, those have chips in them. Those are tough to recreate. Nobody's gonna, hey, you know who I am. The witchcraft, like they can watch you, especially if they're in a lettered agency, like Secret Doctrine or something. And then, I mean, think about how all the think about, you want to talk about a voodoo doll or like a wax project or setting up like a dollhouse or something, a miniature version. Maybe that's what that's about. There's more to it, huh? Then, oh, this is just a cool replica, small, so we can see what we're gonna do later. No, this is all part of this witchcraft setting up and watching people and affecting, praying against them as Satanists, right? And like causing you to lose stuff. Hey, if you believe that the chip thing, but is real. Real. Anyways, and just so you know, again, I'm very grateful, and I want and being struggling with not being the smartest guy. Again, it doesn't apply to the Bible because God's a fair. But I refuse, no matter like I said, I'll be respectful as much as I can, but I'm not gonna trade this life for the next. I mean, because I'm old and ugly and tired and anyways. So I mean, I can be respectful and but like I can't be completely quiet. I have to maintain my allegiance to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Jesus Christ. My allegiance is to God first and foremost, right? And I'm not willing to give up that for anything because I'm just not going to take the chance. Not after what I've been through. So they could offer me $10,000 a day in Hollywood. I'm not going. Okay. And so I'll leave it. You can't be serious. How did they do that? How did they frickin' do that? Unreal. Oh, that is straight up unbelievable how they did that. Wow. Crazy. Unreal. Crazy. But you don't know how many times I've prayed. I'm like, God, can you help me find something, please, in Jesus' name? Boom. You know, like if you lose your keys or something. So you can be sure God is listening. And if he wants you to find something, he will. No matter what the devils pray against you. But anyway, yeah, it's 2:43. Oh, that's strange. That's incredible. Mm-hmm. Oh, thank God. Look at that. Oh, where that was hiding, it was, you know where it was? It was stuck to the bottom of the computer. How is that even possible? Thank you, Jesus. God wanted me to have that back. All right, we can go about our day now. Brad Pitt almost won. You're like, why would you talk? I'm like, dude, come on, bro. I know it's a Super Bowl and they do like halftime, but you and the announcers, look, that's only for football guys. I don't care if you're Brad Pitt, and I really like. I'm not taking that back either. He's got something in his pockets for sure. But he wasn't smart enough to hang on to Jennifer Aniston. In fact, I'm trying to figure out how did he get her to sit next to her at the Academy Award or whatever that I saw one time like in the last 20 years. Y'all don't know I talked to Brad Pitt on Pow Talk, do you? He ain't a bad guy, but he's not one of these here Bible thumpers type. Man, I gotta stop telling you that stuff because nope, can't prove it. It's designed that way to you're not be able to secret stuff. It's not it's by design to make you, like it said, like we read in the New Testament, it's designed to make you, but it's very reasonable, very plausible that rich people would be on Pow Talk, and you could talk to anybody around the world. Very plausible. In fact, very likely. Yeah. Oh no, you're just mental again, Nick. Are you looking for a duck call? No. But I'm not interested in working in Hollywood. Anyways, I'll see y'all later. Have a nice day. I will today for sure. I'll be back for a quick afternoon Bible reading. I've got a bunch of work I gotta do, and I don't want to lick. I don't want to lick. I'm just kidding. I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth and something nice happen. And so I want to be extra grateful, and I got to get some work done. So this ain't paying the bills. It's just a hobby that I want for my grandkids. If they don't destroy them, I mean. But yeah. Okay. Any questions? I've got 10 minutes. I can take a couple questions. What's that magazine you got there? Oh, I don't know. Some brown skinned kids, and it's like the Voice of the Martyrs or something out of Oklahoma. Oh, wow. Yeah, voice. No, I don't want to be a martyr. Not if I don't have to. I'm not a masochist. Contrary to Dusty's, he used to ask me, remember that guy that chases me around? I've seen him at least 3 times that I know of. He used to ask me, are you a masochist? And I'm thinking, no, I don't like pain. He's like, you sure? I'm like, no, what do you mean? That's all I can remember in conversation with the guy. Other than that, he was on his E&J and his Camel cigarettes and his ephedrine. Boy, you're not racist against brown? No. You'd marry a brown? Oh, yeah. Sure. What's this? Oh, what's that? Voice of the Martyrs newspaper. Boy, you are one of them radical Christians, huh? It's a good thing we got you on that watch list, little camper Mickey boy. Yeah, I'm saying, why don't you go? You ought to put them ones outside the White House and the ones at that synagogue in Fridley. Can we get them on a watch list too? Are they on the watch list? I sure hope so. The ones praying against Big Don. Yeah, that's pretty weird. Oh, who's that? Natalie Grant. Oh gosh, she might have one of the most prettiest voices ever in the entire world. Hmm? Do you know, I've heard her do an interview. I remember when she got cancer and she said, is there anything you want to, she's like, oh, it's so nice to be back on the road, even though I got to be away from my composer husband, you know, but I really, one thing I really enjoy about the road life is the buzz, the hum of the diesel bus, my nice Newmar $1 million motorhome I travel in. I used because being on tour so often, I got used to that. It helped me sleep. I'm thinking, okay. And yeah, so she says, I can sleep. I can sleep really well because that hum of you keep the diesel running helps me, calms me, and I go to sleep. Natalie Grant, folks. Yeah. Look at that guy with the binoculars. Oh, you better not. You better be careful with them, buddies. The only ones that get those nowadays are half the kingdoms and half the kingdoms in training. Otherwise, you're a weirdo. No bird watching for you, buddy. All right, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. 3:36. Oh, is this a racket, huh? You know how many books I paid for $250? Plus, you got to get the online thing, and they buy it back for like, and they won't even give you. All they give you is this here. It falls out. It just comes. They can't even keep track of it. Most of the kids are doing it on their phone now, and I'm like, how do you do that? That little. Oh well, we're training them to just put this right up in here, and you won't need that phone anywhere for very long either. And you're like, how do you do that? And you're like, I buy this for $250, and now you used to give me $5, and now you won't give me nothing. Later, y'all. Have a great day. God bless, and God bless the United States of America. Hope maybe Father God, thank you for this time in your word. Thank you, and that this would anything I said would be part of your will, Lord. That it wouldn't be offensive, but it would go out to whoever that you intended to be. Lord, I ask that you go about my day and that I keep you in the forefront. That Jesus, you take the wheel, Lord. The God of the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Lord. That ultimately today, that whatever I do, that I'd be going in a direction, and Lord, redirect me if I'm going in my own direction and it's not part of your will or plan for my life in your kingdom, Father God. I ask for your help to keep that going, all in your precious Son, Jesus Christ's name, amen. I see y'all later. Take care. Won't be back till at least this afternoon, sometime for a while. So we're going full observation again very soon. T minus less than 3 minutes. So any priest, also known as dermatologist, shave or not shave with the patchy carbuncle left over. Everything's healed. I've been cleared of leprosy, Hawaii 5-0 and all that, but there's still. I've tried every cream, and it's just a little kind of. The skin is a little. I guess all the irritation over 6 months. It's just gonna leave a little sunspot, but there's a tiny little patch there that guess I need a cocktail of some special ointment, maybe still to finish it off. Anybody knows what I could do? Any home remedies, natural? Uh, yeah, I'd appreciate it. And thank God that he cleared it up. Can you imagine if they would have got me to with their blackmail, and I would have been in a place where I couldn't even like have healthy and good sleep and take care of it? I'd have been stuck with some nasty. I mean, some those guys Jesus hung out with and said, "Be healed. I love you." And that's remember that Jesus hung out with the lepers and the sinners, and he said, even the prostitute and they would see the kingdom of God before a lot of people. There'll be a lot of people there you didn't expect, and some that you don't expect. Anyways, I'll see y'all later. Take care.